I unlocked Penta's WrestleMania 41 attire in WWE 2K25. I will preface all of this by saying it is a bit of a risk, a bit of a gamble, but I did buy one single basic pack of Survivor Series War Games Volume 1 cards, and I happened to get out of my very first pack the Galaxy Opal Shawn Michaels that was necessary for the first live event. This video will be me going through each individual match and how you can defeat it, but that is a necessity for this series of live events, so you might want to wait this one out. The Shawn Michaels live event card needed to complete the Octad of Infinite live event series is only available for 8 days. However, the rest of the live events for the Octad of Infinite will be 40 days long, so there will likely be an encore event when Shawn Michaels pops up in the card market. So instead of grinding for a bunch of packs, I recommend that you wait this one out and spend however many MyFaction points for the single Shawn Michaels Survivor Series War Games card, because that will almost definitely pop up in the card market after the Encore live event goes live. But here we are. How do we get through the Octad of the Infinite, and how do we unlock Penta WrestleMania 41. Penta is not the only card that you will achieve through all of this. You will achieve multiple DLC rewards. They are not Persona cards, however, except for the final 2 cards. But if you happen to be someone who didn't buy the Deluxe or Ultimate Edition of this game, or you just haven't bought any of the DLC, including the Farewell Tour Edition pack, here is a way that you can play as some of those DLC characters for free, exclusive to MyFaction. Let's start with the very first match, the Architect and the Showstopper. Using your Shawn Michaels Survivor Series War Games Volume 1 Galaxy Opal card, you will take on Seth Rollins 2014's Galaxy Opal Survivor Series card as well, and this will be a ladder match, so the difficulty is kind of whatever. I do find ladder matches to be pretty tedious and pretty difficult just in the basis of the match itself, so I do find myself struggling a little bit, but I did get pretty lucky and got a very easy match to kick things off and start the road to Penta. I recommend through all of these matches that you absolutely focus on your match actions, and you need to time each and every reversal, because each star that you will go up against will start with 3 finishers. Occasionally, that star will have a super finisher or a signature added to those finishers, so you do want to make sure you are reversing everything, because one finisher can shut you down for good. After your Shawn Michaels Survivor Series card defeats Seth Rollins 2014, you will unlock the Infinite tier card of Shawn Michaels 94, and that is what you will use for the Octad of Infinites, and that is how you will begin that live event series. You will take your Shawn Michaels 94 Infinite card into a match against Shaquille O'Neal in a regular one-on-one match. Something that you will notice going through this series of live events is your opponent will always be an infinite card. However, your reward won't always be infinite. However, your first reward will be an infinite tier Shaq. My only really notes on this match specifically are to take out the giant meter and take out his resiliency as early on as you can for both. Again, make sure you get all of your match actions in. I find the striker to be the easiest to get those match actions done and over with, because you're just kind of spamming attacks, in my case at least. And I did find this to be kind of more difficult than I had assumed, simply because you're going up against a giant and you're going up against an infinite tier card that, like all the other cards moving forward, cannot be stunned. You can, but they can't. That is kind of overpowered, but you do have to watch out for that. Moving on to the second match, this was one of the longer matches for me, and this is a Falls Count Anywhere match where you will take your Shaquille O'Neal Infinite card and you will take on New Jack. New Jack, again, your opponent will be an infinite card that cannot be stunned, so it is a pretty difficult opponent, but I did find this match to be much easier in difficulty. However, this was the longest match for me, simply because the match actions for a giant are kind of insane and tedious, so getting 5 carry attacks, and the one that I went with was 20 heavy or grab attacks, did take quite a few minutes. I think it took me a total of 10 or so, maybe a little less than that, but just this match itself took long, but wasn't very difficult. I didn't really use the weapons to my advantage because I figured getting all those match actions done took down the health of New Jack, and I got the victory fairly easily after I finished my match actions. but I did say that all your rewards will not be infinite, and that starts here because your reward for this match was a Galaxy Opal New Jack card, and you will take that match into the Octad of Infinites 3, as you will take your New Jack Galaxy Opal card into a Hell in a Cell against badass Billy Gunn. Now, this was one of the more easy matches for me because despite Billy Gunn having resiliency, he is too low of an overall for that resiliency to actually work, so he doesn't have resiliency. That is an unfortunate thing going into the next match, but for this one, it was pretty easy in my opinion, and I find myself easily reversing the Famouser, so I won pretty quickly. This is one of the easier matches for me, and with New Jack being a striker, the match actions were pretty simple. Moving on to number 4, we have Billy Gunn, the pink diamond card that we will earn from New Jack versus Billy Gunn, and we're taking that into a match against R-Truth Ron Cena, a card from the DLC of the Farewell Tour Edition. This one is also kind of a long one, at least for me personally, because I'm not a big fan of the powerhouse match actions when you have to do grab and heavy attacks. It just takes a little bit longer than a striker or a high flyer, but it was kind of difficult for me. I did find myself actually losing this match. This is the only match I actually lost a match against, and I lost about 4 or 5 times before actually getting the victory over R-Truth Ron Cena. You can win and lose this match by escaping the cage or your opponent escaping the cage, but also by submission. So something that I found is Ron Cena will typically go for a few finishers or signatures and then try to get you with a submission. I find myself only able to escape one submission before everything is over and done with. So you want to try to avoid any finishers, any signatures, and more importantly, any submissions, because he will get you out pretty easily. I found it to be much quicker to go through the door and exiting and getting the victory than to try to submit him or escape over the top of the cage. But that match will unlock you a Diamond Ron Cena card, and that is a card that I did not have because I did not get the Farewell Tour Edition, so that is a card like the Brock Lesnar Galaxy Opal that we got last month that I will be able to take into my faction and use despite not having the Farewell Tour Edition. And a lot of these other DLC characters that I do have, a lot of people that don't have DLC can easily get those as long as you have that Shawn Michaels at the beginning. Now we go into match 5 and you take that Diamond Ron Cena card into a match against El Grande Americano, another DLC card from the first DLC pack this year. Now this one was kind of standard. It's just kind of a last man standing match and you just want to keep him down for 10. He is a high overall card, so you want to hit him with multiple finishers, multiple signatures, and weapons if you can. Something that I kind of had to learn the hard way was you need to avoid the running headbutt because he will try to hit it right off the bat, and then he will try to hit it again, and then again, and then again, and he will go for the running headbutt. I did get caught with a couple through the match, but I did manage to avoid the running headbutt in rapid succession after I finally got the hang of things, and Ron Cena, after defeating El Grande Americano in this last man standing match, will unlock you an El Grande Americano Amethyst card. You will take that El Grande Americano Amethyst into a tables match against Joel Wheeler. This is a jobber, and you're going up against this jobber, but I did find this to be more difficult than I had thought it would be, because he is still an infinite tier card. He does still start with finishers, and he does have a pretty unreversible finisher. At least I found myself not able to reverse it. I got hit with a lot of those, maybe 4 or 5 of those before finally getting him through the table. But with a tables match, I do find that they are pretty easy to win, but the match actions are what get in the way. Luckily, with El Grande being a high flyer, it was much easier for me to get the match actions through and done with than a powerhouse or a giant in the past. Even a striker, I think high flyer is the easiest to get through. And after some difficulty, I did get the victory with El Grande Americano, which unlocks not Joel Wheeler, but a Ruby Victoria card. Victoria, another DLC character. And you will take that Ruby Victoria into match number 7, another ladder match against Trish Stratus 03, which is a Persona card that I will get into in just a second. But I did find this to be a lot more difficult than the earlier ladder match with Shawn Michaels going up against Seth Rollins. This was just simply very difficult because you are a Ruby card and not a Infinite card, so it is just easier to get slowed down and lose momentum than it is with your Shawn Michaels Infinite earlier in this series. But Victoria did get the victory in the end for me, luckily, and I did take down Trish. I don't really have too much strategy behind the ladder match. It's just kind of take him down. What I would recommend is to build up 3 finishers, hit a finisher, throw her out of the ring, climb up, use your 2 to skip the first 2 stages, and then try to get that 3rd stage done as quickly as possible, but as efficiently as possible. I would work more toward slow and hitting the right button than rapidly tapping, because that's kind of how I screw myself over pretty easily. But I did get the victory with Victoria, and that took me to get the unlockable of a Sapphire Trish Stratus 03 Persona card. Now, if you have the AJ Styles Persona card, which I ended up unlocking after grinding way too much, and luckily I didn't have to grind at all for this, then Trish Stratus 03 Persona card isn't really that enticing for you probably. But if you weren't able to get the AJ Styles, or you weren't able to pull Trish Stratus 03 out of the Eras packs, then this is a new Persona card for a lot of people, a Persona card that was heavily desired by a lot of people. And you will take that Sapphire Trish Stratus 03 card into the final Octad of Infinites match, as you will take on Ava Moreno, another jobber, this one from My Rise, and yet again, she is an Infinite card. Now, in the description of this match, it says it's time for a casket match. Just kidding. Ava Moreno is your opponent. You have to defeat her, but this is an Iron Man match. Don't hold your breath. This is a 5-minute Iron Man match, so even if you mess up, it's really not too big of a deal, but it is still kind of tedious. This is not any sort of normal Iron Man / woman match. This is a 5-minute Iron Woman match where your falls will come when you are hit with or hit a finisher. So instead of pinfalls and submissions, it's finishers, or something that I used to my advantage was countouts. Countouts also give you a fall. Really, my only advice for this final match is to reverse her finishers. Let her hit you once. It'll turn you around. She'll go for the finisher from behind, and then you got to reverse that. That'll build up your own finisher. You hit your first early on, and you keep yourself in the lead. That way, even if she does manage to hit a finisher, you are still in the lead, or at least tied. I do find myself using the countouts to my advantage, so I would recommend to get out of the ring, and that way, if you keep them out of the ring long enough and can't build up or hit a finisher, slide into the ring, get the 10 count, get back out of the ring, hit a few more moves, hit a finisher, build it up faster that way. So that is really my only advice for the Octad of Infinites live event series, and that is how I unlocked Penta WrestleMania 41. Now, as I stated earlier in the video, this is probably going to be difficult for a lot of people, and I don't mean difficult in terms of difficulty, I mean difficult in terms of getting that Shawn Michaels card. Now, when I played for the AJ Styles, I grinded way too much. I didn't like how much I was playing this game, and in the end, I failed. I didn't get the AJ Styles until the Encore event came out, and I managed to get some of those cards that I didn't get from the card market. Therefore, I would recommend, even though it is only 1 card you have to get this time and not 4, I would recommend you wait things out, go to the card market, get the Shawn Michaels in a couple of days when this event has ended, because when that Shawn Michaels comes out in the card market, it'll only be a day or 2, presumably, before your Encore event to get the chance at this card and all those other cards that will last 30 or so more days by the time that comes out. I think you should just wait this out, but I got incredibly lucky. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If I was able to help in any way, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel for more 2K videos in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.